Biblically inspired video games. Now, that thought alone can send a shiver down many a gamer's spine, including myself. So, when I heard that THQ was releasing a new game based on part in Book of Revelation, I was a bit skeptical and curious and a little bit scared. But I'm happy to report that the new game Darksiders by Vigil Games is absolutely fantastic. Basic storyline is you're War, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, who has come down to Earth in between finding war between angels and demons. Seven seals are meant to be broken, calling forth the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Unfortunately, he was the only one there. The others kind of didn't get there. One missed the 105 to Pakenham, so they won't be coming for this apocalypse. So we have War walking around, finding both angels and demons, and pretty much soon he starts losing all his powers bit by bit. Through the beginning, the introduction of the game, you find out that he is blamed for this whole premature Armageddon, and that he dies in a fight and goes back to what's called the Shard Council in the game, which sort of overlooks and maintains the law and the truce between heaven and hell. So he gets given a last chance to come back to Earth and redeem himself, and bit by bit, as you play through, you regain your powers, you regain new moves, techniques, your strength, to fight the hordes, and there are a multitude of enemies in this game. Now, the gameplay itself, it's a third-person game, so you're controlling one character. Initially, it is just himself. Later on, you do get his horseback, and you can go on horseback as well as on foot. Now, while it is an action game, there are numerous puzzles. There are actually a lot of puzzles. And unless you cheat and go on Google or something, you will get stuck on these puzzles. But it is very rewarding when you do figure it out for yourself. So I do encourage you to stick with it. So the main storyline is linear. The storyline is linear. You follow a certain path, and the puzzles will stop you from continuing that. So other elements in this game, you can go from different parts of the map, you can go back and try and collect things, but if you want to progress with the story, you will have to figure out that puzzle and you will get stuck through it, where you might experience a little bit of frustration. Now, bound to you to watch over you is Mark Hamill, or the voice of Mark Hamill as the Watcher. But he doesn't really lend any clues or give you any help or any guidelines like that. So he pretty much just watches. But you do get to figure it out, you do get to go on, and every time you move on, one of the best elements in this game is they actually give you new weapons, new tools that actually change the way you totally react to your environment and interact with your environment. So for example, you might get a type of chain or grappling hook which you can climb up new heights, get access to new levels which you didn't previously have. So when you go back to the last map, you can actually get further on in the game, get treasure maps, get everything. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but there's a lot to discover and to have fun with. Now, the graphics are just absolutely stunning. If you have a HD television, you will look straight away. I'll just jump to the score. I'll give it a 10. It's absolutely beautiful. The colors are vivid. Everything's drawn in the right style for the game. So I absolutely love the whole graphic side of things. The creative director was a gentleman by the name of Joe Mad, as he's known. You might know him from his work with the X-Men comics. Excellent artist, and you see that reflected in the game, throughout the game, from little paintings that you might see hanging on the walls to the actual characters and the bosses. There's a lot of big bosses you fight. So graphics, easy 10. With the sound suits this to a T. You do get a sense of the end days. There's this whole like O Fortuna type music and playing in the background. The sound effects work really well. It sinks in really well. I would have liked to have a little bit more of like sort of main musical pieces and come out a little bit stronger, but 9 out of 10, very easy. Again, I'm a bit of a gaming snob, so I've got it in surround sound, and it's just magnificent. I loved every minute of it. So 9 out of 10 for the sound. So what about the gameplay? Well, one of the most important, if not the most important thing in gameplay itself is controls. There are two versions of this game, one on the 360 and on the PS3. I played the 360 version, and the controller just suited it to a T. The learning curve was very good. They didn't throw everything at once and confuse you. You sort of started off little bit by little bit. Everything became so intuitive, so much so in fact that I've got trouble trying to compare it to another game that done it as good or even half as good. So kudos for that. The storyline just moves along very well. You just, as you're playing through, you just want to know what's happening next. You're drawn into it very much. So in terms of gameplay, that's a 10 right there. Now, all that sounds good, so are there any negatives? Well, I found only 2 things. One is the screen tearing, which you will notice. Again, I don't know about the PS3, but on the 360 there was quite a bit of screen tearing that you will notice. However, there is a patch that's going to address that, so hopefully we'll see that very soon. The other thing was a little bit of slowdown. Now, some people I've read have experienced that. I've only experienced that. I've gone through the whole game and I've only experienced it in maybe one section 2 or 3 times, so it's not really noticeable. So overall, this was one of the best gaming experiences I've had in a while. I loved every minute of it. It's an easy 9 out of 10. When a patch comes out, that's a 10 right there.